I assume the gentleman's interpretation is one he still holds to less than a week later. And,
yield.
I'm happy to yield.
I will say to my friend that that is the definition of security spending: defense, homeland security, VA, and military construction.
Thank you. Reclaiming my time.
I thank my friend for yielding.
I appreciate the gentleman reaffirming that position. Now let's take a look at what that means. That means not exempt from these drastic cuts are weapons and training to build the capacity of key partners in the fight against terror in Yemen, in Pakistan, and the Philippines. That's all part of our security assistance package, part of our international affairs budget. Financing for the purchase of U.S. military equipment to ensure Israel's qualitative military edge. Defense items and services that enable other countries to cooperate with us on counterterrorism. In Afghanistan, it's cuts that would mean an end to the civilian surge, would force the military to perform civilian jobs. The reductions would harm 4 provincial reconstruction teams and forward operating bases, security forces and police training, explosive ordnance disposal, counter-narcotics and poppy eradication programs. In Iraq, state programs that would be harmed by virtue of the gentleman's definition of non-security funds that have to be dramatically cut back, are training for Iraqi police and security forces to take over when the U.S. troops depart, funding for our special inspectors general in Iraq and Afghanistan to ensure that programs are designed to achieve maximum impact and properly managed and implemental. May I have one additional?
Gentleman's time has expired.
Gentlemen, I give the gentleman 15 seconds.
Everything the gentleman has stood for in his years in Congress is going to be undermined by virtue of what he's proposing.
All members will suspend. Members should bear in mind that the official reporters of debate cannot be expected to transcribe 2 members simultaneously. Members should not participate in debate by interjection and should not expect to have the reporters transcribe remarks that are uttered when not properly recognized. The Chair must ask members to bear in mind the principle that proper courtesy in the process of yielding and reclaiming time in debate, especially in asking another to yield, helps to foster the spirit of mutual commodity that elevates our deliberations above mere argument. The gentleman from California is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I yield myself 30 seconds.
The gentleman is recognized for 30 seconds.
To say to my friend, I very much appreciate his recognizing the commitment that I've had to security through foreign assistance programs, and to make it very clear that, again, we are just beginning a process today. We're beginning a process today that will allow this House to work its will. And it's obvious, going to 2008 levels. 2008 levels is not going to gut all of the very important national security aspects that we have of foreign assistance programs. My friend knows very well, Mr. Speaker, that it is essential that we get our fiscal house in order, and this is the first step on a road towards doing just that. With that, I reserve the balance of my time.
The gentleman reserves the balance of the time.
Mr.
Gentleman
Speaker,
from Massachusetts is recognized.
If I can inquire from the gentleman, I'm the final speaker on our side, and so if he has any additional speakers.
If the gentleman would like to close debate, then I will close it on our side.
Mr. Speaker, how much time do I have remaining?
The gentleman from Massachusetts has 3 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, let me close by saying that this is not the way we should deal with the budget. Transparency, I'll tell my Republican friends, means knowing what the budget number is. I don't know why that's such a radical idea. And accountability means that everybody in this House should be able to vote yes or no on whatever that number is, and it shouldn't be up to one person to unilaterally determine that number. This budget process that the Republicans have put together politicizes unnecessarily a budget process and sets, I think, a lousy precedent. Mr. Speaker, I'm going to urge my colleagues to vote no on the previous question. If the previous question is defeated, I will modify this rule to provide that immediately after the House passes this rule, it will take up an amendment to exempt cuts in funding for the FBI's counterterrorism program. My Republican colleagues say they won't cut programs that protect our nation's security, but the resolution itself doesn't even bother to define non-security spending. And the definition I've heard from the other side of the aisle would not include the FBI's counterterrorism program. So I ask unanimous consent to insert the text of the amendment and extraneous materials in the record immediately prior to the vote on the previous question.
Without objection.
A no vote on the previous question will allow the House to consider an amendment exempting cuts in funding to the FBI's counterterrorism program, an amendment that will ensure we do not sacrifice our nation's security in this post-9/11 world. I urge all of my colleagues on both sides of the aisle to vote no on the previous question so that we can ensure that we continue to protect this nation from terrorism. And with that, I yield back the balance of my time.
The gentleman's time has expired. The gentleman from California. The gentleman is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, every member of this institution, Democrat, Republican alike, knows full well that the American people are hurting. We have an unemployment rate that is at 9.4%. We have, in my state of California, a 12.5% unemployment rate. I see my friend Mr. Lewis here on the floor. In the Inland Empire of California, it's 15.5%, the unemployment rate. People are out there making very, very tough decisions, and the economic uncertainty that exists today is playing a big role in diminishing the kind of investment that we need to create jobs. This resolution is a very simple one. It says that we shouldn't spend money we don't have. We shouldn't spend money we don't have. That's what we're saying as we begin this process. Those are the decisions that families are making all across this country. They're not spending money they don't have. And in fact, we've seen, because of this economic downturn, lots of families today saving more than they have in the past because they don't want to get themselves into this position that the federal government is. We're going to have to make some tough choices around here. It's not going to be easy. No one is saying that it's going to be easy. But this resolution that we're going to debate tomorrow, HRES 38, simply says that we are going to go to 2008 levels or less. Because, frankly, 2008 levels, as far as I'm concerned, were too high. I believe that we need to cut back even more. Now, we continue to hear this argument that we are going to decimate research into very important diseases out there. We began the debate, as I said in the opening, not going there, but we did go there. And as I said, if you can't prioritize, you end up demonizing and creating this great deal of fear that is out there. Or the FBI is going to close down if we go to 2008 spending levels. Well, Mr. Speaker, obviously that's not the case. This institution is not about to undermine the Federal Bureau of Investigation, but we do know that with adequate oversight, which is our constitutional responsibility, and focusing, yes, on those three things that Democrats and Republicans alike say, waste, fraud, and abuse, we will be able to rein in this behemoth. Again, it's going to be tough, but this resolution is just the first step in a two-year process to get our economy growing, create jobs, and to rein in the size and scope and reach of the federal government so that we can encourage individual initiative and responsibility. So, Mr. Speaker, I urge my colleagues to vote for this rule, and tomorrow when we bring the resolution HRES 38 to the floor, I urge their support of this measure, and I hope very much that we will have Democrats joining with Republicans for this very common-sense approach to do exactly what these 87 new members on our side of the aisle, and I suspect even some of the 9 new members on the Democratic side of the aisle have come here to do, and that is to rein in this wasteful government spending that we have seen. And so with that, Mr. Speaker, I yield back the balance of my time and move the previous question.
The question is on ordering the previous question on the resolution. Those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no.
No.
In the opinion of the chairs, the noes have it. The gentleman
I ask for the yeas and nays.
The yeas and nays are requested. Those favoring a vote by the yeas and nays will rise. A sufficient number have risen. The yeas and nays are ordered. Pursuant to Clause 8 of Rule 20, further proceedings on this question will be postponed. Pursuant to Clause 12A of Rule 1, the House will stand in recess subject to the call of the chair until 6:30, a period not longer than 15 minutes.
Well, the House has been debating the rule for HRES 38, a resolution that